Do you have a dream with a theme that keeps coming back every now and then, and sometimes over the years? This is what we call a reoccurring dream. And not only keeps coming, sometimes they add a little twist while they keep the same elements or symbols. Today with us is Ebby Salinas of Ebby Salinas Crowology and Crow Readings, and we will share our own reoccurring dreams and take them apart. Welcome, Abby. Thank you for being with us again.
Hello, Ileana. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks. So, reoccurring dreams is one of those things that everybody has. I believe so. I believe you had the same dream, whether it's that the one that you're falling or keep going to the same place. It's just how it is. And I had one over the years that
Hmm.
I have shared pieces in previous episodes, and you're familiar with the infamous wedding dream. And this time I organized some thoughts because this dream started at age 29, and I've been having this dream for over 20 years now. And like I mentioned in the intro, it keeps the same theme and
Hmm.
some elements are tweaked. And I understand you also have a dream to share with us too.
Yes, I do. Are you going to do your dream or did you want me to jump into this one? How would you like to start?
Oh, which one you think is more interesting?
Well, they're both different. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
with reoccurring dreams is if you really can have a good recall on your dreams, you'll notice that pay attention to your age in it because you will notice the subtlety of your aging. And you'll also notice if you are a child in one, you may see other family members like a new toddler, a new baby coming into play. As your family grows, so does your dream. So it's real interesting to see the not only that, but like where you're living. You may go back to your childhood home, and as you progress, you're now changing your residency in your dream.
Yeah, well, you know what? I didn't think about that. So something
Hmm.
new for our audience. Where were you living? In my case, my dream started back home where I was born and raised, and I think it's a stay with me in two continents.
Really? So when you have that dream, you're still in Puerto Rico?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that was the first time.
Okay.
That
And
was the
now?
first. And now here in the Chicagoland.
So now
So
the dream has taken root here, or is it still when you have it
it had repeated two times here.
here? Okay.
Uh-huh,
Well, let's
uh-huh.
go with your dream. Share yours.
Okay. Okay, so again, for our audience, this was the infamous wedding dream, and I'm gonna start with saying that first time that I had that dream was when I was 29, and the dream, the main thing is that I never make it to my wedding on the day of the wedding. It's not that we have time to think about this and we call it off. So two things actually. I never make it to my wedding, and the second element is I don't know who I'm marrying.
I like
Maybe
that one.
that's, yeah, this is right there. It's like it's not important. So the first time, it's my wedding, and it's almost I think it's the day of the wedding or day before. It's that close always. And I'm looking, I'm trying to pick my shoes. So I couldn't pick the right shoes. For some reason, I was very picky about it. And just to, you know how we talk about, I'll take the excuses away from her. Uh, I had, I was in front of shelves from wall to wall, shelves of shoes in any color, texture, and style that you can put to a wedding dress. I'm talking about the satin, white pumps, pearl, silvery, straps, pipto, sandal, full-blown sandal, strap sandal, string, any combination of textures and colors that will be suitable for a wedding dress, no matter the the style of the dress or even the climate or the venue or the time of the year. Every single white, pearl, satiny, silver, transparent, clear, like that synthetic clear material that was at some point very popular in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those shoes were in those freaking shelves, and I couldn't pick a pair. Therefore, I never made it to my wedding because I couldn't pick shoes.
Do you recall seeing any shoes other than wedding shoes?
No, all of them
Okay, so they
were,
were all just associated with what would go with a wedding dress.
yeah, we'll go
Okay,
with that. I mean, you could wear some of those with other outfits, but that
but
selection,
you didn't see any business shoes, you didn't see anything you would be wearing for a career, athletic wear,
no.
casual. Okay.
But athletic is never in
Right,
my
but
closet.
exactly, but I mean anything that's more on the casual. Okay.
No,
And and have you always had the dress on or is the dress off?
that's very interesting because I think the next one, the second instance of the dream, had to do with dress.
Okay.
And in that, I think again I was being picky about the dress. And in that dress, I think I went with something very simple, like the slip dress, very similar to that style that uh, this lady and John Kennedy Jr. in their wedding, her style, that kind of very simple, kind of satiny, pearly gown, very modern. And I remember I was putting on a dress, and I don't know if I took forever on putting on that simple dress. I didn't make it. So that was the second time. So shoes were not an issue the second time around.
Um, that's all real interesting. So how would you describe all this?
I don't know because I have another one.
Another wedding dress one? Another wedding
No,
one?
another episode of the same thing that
Okay, so it's
I
the same theme, right?
the same theme is that I get
Okay, all right.
distracted with something
Mhm.
and I don't make it to my wedding.
Okay, what is that one?
The next one had to do with I was waiting for my sisters. This is what a cop now, blaming on the sisters. And I was saying that until they didn't arrive, we're not getting married. So I was waiting and waiting for them, and again, I don't know if the wedding was called off, but I didn't make it. Um, and and I don't think I made it. I don't know which one was it. I have to say there's I remember this segment. And I don't know if it had to do with the dress or waiting for my sister, but in one of these episodes, I made it to the doorstep of the church. That was interesting because it was one of these like fairy tale churches in the sense that the vault was really high,
Hmm.
like the cathedral construction, very high ceilings and vault, but dark on the sides. The only thing that I could see was the aisle and the altar, and what seemed to be a very long aisle. And I saw someone waiting for me there, but I was at the doorway and I never crossed that doorway. So I think that was the closest I came. Like I show up at the place, but didn't actually across the doorway.
Didn't go across the threshold.
Exactly. They didn't go across the threshold. Yep.
D-
Yep.
Do you
Yep.
have
Yep.
another one, or are these
Oh,
your
yeah.
primary? Okay, keep. Well, go ahead. Let's keep it
You want to
going.
say, you know, okay, you want to
Yeah,
hear the whole enchilada first?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, then there was another case that I was already all dressed up. Like, dress wasn't an issue, shoes were not an issue, makeup was not an issue, but I have a cheap tooth or something, and I felt like it was okay to stop by the dentist on my way to the wedding because I thought that that was something I could take care of really quick. My dentist
Hmm.
back home, um, he must be retired by now. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, Dr. Bako can do this really quick. Yeah, who does that on the day of the wedding? On the way to your wedding? Yeah, you stop, like, this is stopping by Walgreens to grab, I don't know, chapstick or something. So it was like that kind of stuff. So, as a consequence, I didn't make it to my wedding.
So, okay, and then what else you got? These are
Okay.
really good. These are good.
So you like the story?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this instance was very interesting because I wasn't in the military yet. And I was having dreams of being in the desert, but seeing mountains, which translated years after in my deployment to Afghanistan. But I wasn't in the military, yet I had a dream that I was. And I was getting married, but nothing was planned. Like, what the hell? How are you planning to get married if you don't have at least the place, the people? And I was like thinking, well, we'll figure it out. Like that's me. You know me.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, yeah, we'll wing it. Well, you know what? I think I should call the JAG office, JAG, the Judge Advocate General. So I didn't know what the functions of the Judge Advocate General were because I wasn't in the military yet. But I will figure that it will be just because we didn't have anything planned that we could put together uh, a civilian ceremony really quick. So that was the plan to figure it out and we'll get there. So as a consequence, I didn't get married.
Were you dressed up in that dream?
Maybe in uniform?
Okay. Even though you were not in the military.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. So, so yeah, that was the plan. That was the plan that I'll call somebody. We'll figure this out. Yeah, well, not quick enough to get married. Then, fast forward in time, a couple of years ago, I think I was on my way by myself. I was on my way to some sort of wedding or something because this time uh, I was wearing the head gear, whatever. Actually, it was a full veil, which is something kind of old-fashioned,
Right.
not something that, unless it's that kind of fancy wedding or royal wedding, you don't do that. And again, I decided, and the town was, I'm not gonna say like medieval town, but kind of uh, that kind of it had that kind of vibe because it wasn't a city. It didn't look like modern times, and it was more like houses made of stones. And I stopped by a cave for some reason. And I remember when I stopped by that cave, I took the veil, pulled the veil from my face, which is something that you do once you are in the altar. So I guess I didn't make it.
But interesting. Okay. Go ahead.
And I have one more.
Okay.
I'm not saying the last one because who knows? One
Right.
more a month ago, almost to the date, on May 19. And May 19 has significance for me because that's the day that I moved to Illinois permanently 15 years ago. But I had that dream that apparently my interpretation was probably my guest got fed up and decided to have the party without me because there was this wedding party and it was in the afternoon. It was a sunny afternoon. Actually, that's the time of the day that I like. I'm more of an afternoon person. I like that golden tone of the afternoon. Oh my God, it was a bash. The music was loud. There were people of all the family that I haven't seen or cared to see were there. And I was too lazy to go to the party. I found it too loud and I said, I'm gonna show up when it tones down. And my wedding gown was fancy. It was like that full skirt, like a ballroom gown or something like that. It was crazy. It didn't match the party, but or maybe in the sense that they were both loud in their style. The party was loud and a bash, and the gown was that kind of flamboyant thing,
Mhm.
something that you will see at a royal wedding or something like that. So that was the most recent. So that's the dream so far.
Real interesting. Okay, so let's start with the first part. Okay, here you are in a wedding dress, and you're trying to decide on what shoes to wear, right? And your shoes are significant in how you walk through life, right? So you're looking at notice that it's a wall. There's all this wall space, which to me symbolizes the wall you put around yourself. Okay, here's your own wall, and your wall has all these shoes, that are for any one of them would have done to match the wedding dress. You even had a pair of transparent shoes, which you didn't because you didn't select any of those options. That tells me they were not a good fit for you. It's not a good fit for you to have shoes that are transparent. Translate that to it's not a comfortable feeling for you to be transparent. Okay. So that came to me with that. You have every style and color that fits well, which tells you have the ability to select that part of your personality to fit in certain. Well, here's the thing, they're all on the shelf. So who knows if you ever take out or if you ever choose a a part of you that would fit in well with that dress. They're all there on the shelf. You can certainly choose one, but you never choose them because that may not be a good fit for you. It's not a good fit for you to be of the satiny or and think of the straps. You didn't have just one pair of shoes with straps. You had several different types of straps, which tells me you see that as tying you down, tying you to that role. So here are shoes you don't select because you don't want to step in to that role of being a bride, being a wife. And notice then you have a dream where you are, let me see. The second one was where you've got the right shoes, right? The right shoes, you've got the right dress.
No, the shoes were not even a thing. The dress felt
Yeah,
right
you
because I was putting on a dress.
right, right. But you didn't have to the right shoes. You were being very picky with that, right? So
Yeah,
that's in the first one.
yeah.
Then you go and you have a simple dress.
Hmm.
So that's saying this is simple. This is simple to get married, but yet you have a lot of resistance to what that role has to do with you. Um, y- and what was it that you took? What were you taking forever on?
On putting on the dress,
Oh,
something so simple. It was like a
see,
slip dress.
see, it's something so simple, yet you could not bring yourself to do it. Okay. So again, there's your resistance to marriage, completely. Then you go, you're waiting for your sisters. And here you make it to the church, right? Third one is the church.
Apparently, yeah.
And like a lot of women, kind of fairy tale-ish, women see that as their big day they've dreamt of and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have all of that, but notice you can't get through the threshold. You can't go from the outside into the inside, and it's a church. So there may be some things that don't settle in well with you, like the restriction of religion or something so orthodox or so traditional as getting married in a church.
Mm-hmm.
If you go down that aisle, walking down that aisle to that commitment, that's not something that you can't even see who the person is that's waiting at the end, but it doesn't even matter because you can't even go through the doorway into the doorway of that. So obviously, the church represents all those restrictions that you may feel
Mm-hmm.
that are imposed on a bride, right? I thought the other thing that was real interesting on that was um, how you said the aisle was very long,
Yeah.
and you just stood at the doorway. Another thing that I thought was interesting was now on the fourth one, you're all dressed up. You
Yes.
you have the right dress, the
Yeah.
right shoes. You've already makeup, okay?
Everything
So
that
your makeup,
works.
right? So you are presentable.
Yeah.
You because that's all external. You're
Mm-hmm.
presentable. Now you have a chipped tooth. And a chipped and any most things having to do with the teeth has to do with vanity.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your chipped tooth. So even though you look perfect, to you, you notice this tooth issue. And now you stop to go see. And like you said, it's not like you're running into Walgreens. You go and you go to your dentist. There were many things you could have done, like you could have made that day so special for you that it wouldn't have mattered that your tooth was chipped.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody may even have thought about that. But again, you just like in the first dream where you couldn't even put on transparent shoes. Again, you won't allow anybody to see anything other than what is visible. The right shoes, the right dress, the right makeup, all of that on the external part. But looking beyond those things, there's a chipped tooth, which would make you very vulnerable to that.
Well, that's the day. That day is a bride's day. All eyes are on the
Yeah,
bride.
but whether all eyes are on the bride or not, it wouldn't have been that obvious. But to the bride couldn't allow herself to
Mm-hmm.
be to be that transparent, to be that not perfect, you know. And then the military dream I thought was real interesting because you weren't even in the military. So now that is more of your personality, somebody who's very regimented, you know, in even your day to day, how you do things, pretty much very organized, very on top of everything, engineer, right? Engineer mind. And here you are, there's mountains and interesting how later on you go into the military. Here you don't even have a dress. You have nothing planned and
Nothing planned. We were going to
nothing
wing
planned.
it.
You're gonna wing it, and all you know is you're calling JAG, but you don't even really know what they do, but you have to do that part, right? And yet you were more at ease. You were more at ease at this time in your life with winging it. Whereas before, when you were going through, I mean, some of these things were
Very
as
traditional.
recent, right? Very traditional. And one was a month ago,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
pretty recent, very recent. And and that's, you ran into an issue there. Oh, let's go to so the military was the most casual for you, the most ease for you, right? And then we go into one you had a couple of years ago where on your way to the wedding you have a head veil, a full head veil.
Mm-hmm.
There you go again, covering yourself, covering your face, you know, and it's not a city, it's not modern times, it's more medieval. And notice you stop at a cave, again, your own privacy, where only you are there in seclusion. That's where you take off the veil from your face. That's where you remove it. So you're still at this time, you are still not so and here you are now making recordings, now on podcast, now showing your face, whereas you've lived a large block of your life hidden.
Mm-hmm.
So how interesting. Now I can't wait till you have another dream about the wedding to see if that changes.
But I don't know if I'm gonna have any guests because they're getting fed up.
And the last one is where the well, apparently they're not fed up. They're still at the party. They're still showing up, but it's
Yeah.
loud.
Oh, yeah,
It's
and
a
the
bash,
crowd is getting bigger and bigger.
bigger and bigger, which is your circle, your friendships, the people the people you're you've had more time to have more relationships going on in your life now than you were for many years. And so now here's this big party, and even though you're too lazy, when it comes right down to it, you've got this fancy ball dress, and it didn't match the party, and it was very flamboyant, but you seemed to, other than the fact that it was very loud, you didn't seem to care, you know
I wasn't participating from the party. I was like laying down and say I show up when it start winding down,
well,
and
which
people
is
were
a
having a blast.
well, and isn't that the whole thing? I'll I'll show up when it starts winding down. That's you being very, very busy. That's you. That party is what's going on with you right now. Just a lot of stuff going on. Putting I don't want to say putting your life in order because it's never been out of order, but there's been a lot of things going on, things you've enjoyed doing, and as soon as you make time for that in your life, then you'll make it. I still say this is what's going to happen. I
Okay.
see this as it's almost like your dreams are. Did you remember we talked about this before the movie Premonition,
Uh-huh.
with Sandra Bullock?
Hmm.
It's like she had to keep repeating the dream over and over and over so she can get accustomed to what was happening in the dream. And
Hmm.
it's you've now had so many dreams about this wedding dress and your wedding that once the guy gets plugged into the scenario, you've already had it. You've already gone through every scenario possible. It's going to be a breeze for you.
You know what I always pick from that dream was that what kept me from my wedding was something absolutely unimportant and mundane.
Yeah,
Like shoes are mundane.
right. But they're mundane. But here's the thing: shoes also represent what you put on to walk through life.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're not willing to put on a pair of shoes and walk through life prior to now as a wife. There are restrictions, depending on who you marry. It's not always a thing of expansion, it's
Mm,
you have got to compromise and share your life and your thoughts and make somebody else important also, you know, and perhaps prior to now you would not have been open to that. So it's kind of like pulling back the layers. We're constantly talking about pulling back the layers of who we are and going deeper and deeper. And the way you started off, you couldn't even pick the shoes. Now you got the shoes, now you got the dress, took care of the chipped tooth. It's so interesting because it's like you're taking care of all these layers along the way. and even the military one. Maybe you at that time you were very militant about, there's a part of me that is just as capable as and with male energy, that I don't need to have this dress. I don't, even though you love wearing beautiful dresses and dressing in a feminine style, you know, it's almost like that military uniform gave you more empowerment, more power, because
Mm,
it is. When you
I
put
don't
a
think so. I don't
think
think
of a
so.
think of a
Because,
military uniform and a dress. Okay.
well, military uniforms are designed to be unflattering for women. They're not
Right.
designed for a woman. And I mean, they have done through the years, they have done
But you know what?
decent jobs, but
Yeah, but think of this.
it's not what it is.
If there was a problem and I have a woman in a military uniform and I have a woman in a wedding dress and there's a problem, I'm going to run to the soldier. Okay? That's what I mean. The soldier represents somebody who can take care of things. Take care of things very that are very quick, very stealth,
Mhm.
protection. That's somebody I would go to. I would not think to run to a bride, who is also encumbered by dresses and heels and all
Mm.
that stuff. Those are things that restrict, you know. And
Oh, yeah, yeah. You know what? I never saw that. The restrict, yeah, the shoes. Yeah, shoes can be a pain, yeah.
and at the end you're wearing a flamboyant dress.
And
So
yeah,
again,
it was picked for me. It was already my room. Like when somebody lay all your outfit, like you have
uh-huh.
a personal stylist. It was all laid out for me, and all I have to do was wear it and join the party.
And you put it on, right?
Yeah,
So you put it on, whereas before you couldn't even handle a simple dress.
yeah.
So
And
now
then I
they're
guess I was too tired about putting them down.
you know but this is interesting too.
Mm,
Perhaps you were too tired, which made you less resistant,
yeah.
because you were too tired. I'm not going to resist. I'm just not going to show up until till it tones down a little bit more. But you had least resistance,
Hmm.
to all these things because you were feeling very tired and lazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Extremely lazy. It remind me the myth of the how the tortoise was created. It was this nymph that was always too tired to go to places, and she will miss important commitments like the marriage of a goddess. So she likes so much being home and cozy that her punishment was to carry her house around.
Oh, the turtle.
Hmm. Hmm. So, so I was looking at that, and then the meaning of marriage, because up until recently, marriage was probably the only choice women have to be someone or to get like a social upgrade.
Hmm.
And those things started changing decades ago. It was such a big milestone
Right,
in,
right.
in not so much now. In also the lifetime commitment, and I said lifetime is a really long time.
Well, not
So
if you get married later, huh?
yeah, yeah, it will make it shorter. Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends on your lifespan, but yeah, but all those things that marriage meant for a woman, for a man might be different, but for a woman, changing of roles, um, getting an upgraded status in many societies. Um, so, and in the public, the fact that it's a wedding, like I was explaining to my sister last week, um, there is the act of getting married, and there is a wedding. A wedding is a public ceremony in which uh, you made that commitment in front of others, in front of a
Hmm.
community, in front of your family and friends, and those people are also in agreement with the decision you're making in your life. That's the main difference in doing this wedding, is this act of public commitment, as opposed to just let's go to the court and find a witness and
Well, apparently you put a lot of weight to those things, you know. I would never put that much weight into it, but apparently you put a lot of weight into it, and so much weight into marriage that you've managed um, to stay in the highway and keep going with your life and not
mm-hmm.
take any of the exits, for marriage, along the way. It's so easy if it's something you want to do, even to marry somebody you don't even care to marry, but you end up marrying. I mean, we have a lot of we know a lot of people that have been in that situation. But apparently for you, the weight of what it symbolizes, and also interesting to me how the makeup, the veil, the chipped tooth, all these, the walls that have shelves, the cave, all those things pointing to how you you really want to hold tight to your privacy. Yeah.
And in those, in any, while all these dreams are happening, there has never been anyone like, I've never been in a relationship during the times these dreams are
Yeah.
going through. So that was the thing. It's not that I was having the nightmare because I was avoiding someone
Right.
in the
Exactly.
waking hours.
Yeah.
No, there was not
Right.
that kind of oh, because I was under pressure.
Right.
No.
I know. And that's another interesting thing because, uh, but yet again, those dreams point to how private you are, that you've never allowed it to go in that direction, to be open to get something going in that direction.
Well,
So,
I guess I was having so many things going on in terms of, if I remember what was going on in terms of, maybe it was in between changing jobs, then
right.
joining the military, then leaving the military and studying it. I do remember that there was a time of many years that I didn't have the dream, and I thought it was a fun time because I was working. It was after I separated from the military, and then I was working in an industry that I really like and was exciting. And I I was even working out of the country.
Ah,
And some of the jobs will take me outside the country in domestic. So those were the most fun years. But I don't remember dreaming a lot. So I guess I had something that kept me really entertained and amused and not thinking where else I'm gonna go until a certain point. Because after so many years, you think it's time for a change or what's next for me, or I can no longer find what I like here. It's like you said, it is okay until it isn't.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. And and right now it's still okay. You know, it's still okay for you because you're never avoiding the person at the end of the aisle. You're never avoiding another human. It is the details of what marriage means to you that
but
you know.
wouldn't that be a subtle way or a passive way to avoid putting on choosing to give more attention to the mundane than to what is important?
Well, apparently you don't find even what you're saying is important. It's not important enough for you. To even hear you. The dress couldn't have been any more simpler, and you still couldn't put on a simple dress. That sentence alone,
Yeah.
couldn't do something simple, as so simple as to get married. So again, it's not the person, it's
Hmm.
not the soon to be husband, it is the act itself.
Yeah, I guess.
Hmm.
So that was my dream.
I think that one was a good one. I'd love to hear if any of your audience have had wedding dreams, and if they can share that, that would be so cool because I love when the themes come out like that.
Hmm.
And for different people, they're different things.
Yeah, it is indeed. So I think this probably might be a lot for our audience to digest for the first one.
Mhm.
So I will ask everybody to tune in for part two of this episode because we're gonna go with Ebby's dream and see how I can pick it apart in the same way she had done with mine. And I would love to hear your comments. Sign up for our newsletter. Let me know what you think. And until then, sweet dreams.